Trump said he authorized the CIA action over concerns Venezuela had emptied its prisons and sent people from mental institutions into the United States, in addition to drug trafficking, confirming that strikes on Venezuela's territory targeting drug cartels was being considered.
We are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control. We've had a couple of days where there isn't a boat to be found. And that, I view that as a good thing, not a bad thing. But we had tremendous amounts coming in by boats, by very expensive boats. You know, they have a lot of money, very fast, very expensive boats that were pretty big. And the way you look at it is every boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. So every time you see a boat and you feel badly, you say, wow, that's rough. It is rough, but if you lose 3 people and save 25,000 people, these are people that are killing our population.
The United States has refused to recognize President Nicolas Maduro as the winner of the flawed 2024 presidential election. President Trump asked directly if the CIA had the authority to take out Maduro, for whom the U.S. Justice Department had offered a reward of $50 million for information leading to his arrest or conviction for allegedly violating U.S. narcotics laws.
I don't want to answer a question like that. That's a ridiculous question for me to be given. Not really a ridiculous question, but wouldn't it be a ridiculous question for me to answer? But I think Venezuela is feeling heat, but I think a lot of other countries are feeling heat too. We're not going to let this country, our country, be ruined because other people want to drop, as you say, their worst. They have given us their worst.
The Security Council met last Friday in an emergency session at the request of Venezuela.
We continue to emphasize the need for all efforts to counter transnational organized crime to be conducted in accordance with international law, including the UN Charter. Finally, we reiterate the call for de-escalation and continue to urge the parties to avoid any actions that may threaten international peace and security in the region.
Caracas's envoy told the council that a killer was roaming the Caribbean and suggested that drugs were being used as a pretext for regime change in Venezuela, warning of a new wave of aggression in the region.
We are facing a situation in which it is rational to anticipate that in the very short term, an armed attack is to be perpetrated against Venezuela. That's why we're here, because this Security Council has the necessary means to prevent further worsening of the situation. We are here to avert the commission of an international crime.
He also sharply criticized U.S. military strikes targeting boats suspected of carrying drugs in the region.
The United States government conceals its crimes under the guise of self-defense. In so doing, it murders civilians without providing information as to their identity, without proving the nature of the cargo aboard the vessels, and without providing any evidence on the imminent nature of an armed attack against U.S. forces. This is not self-defense. These are extrajudicial killings.
Several council members called for de-escalation and dialogue to resolve tensions, while Human Rights Watch accused the Trump administration of extrajudicial killings in its targeting of alleged narco-terrorists. The rights group says that the U.S. military's use of lethal force violated international human rights law and recalled that the U.S. had ratified the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which protects the right to life. It further argued that under human rights law standards, officials engaging in law enforcement, including military personnel, must seek to minimize injury and preserve human life, and may use lethal force only when strictly unavoidable to protect against an imminent threat of death or serious injury. For its part, the Trump administration has determined it's in an armed conflict with drug cartels, and that smugglers are unlawful combatants. Sherman Briceby's SABC News, New York.